Someone posted this online last week. Apparently it's a shooting range running some kind of extra hand-to-hand combat training. And they were asking whether this was Krav Maga. And so let's watch it together and decide whether it's Krav Maga. But I want to make a point beforehand, which is that anything can be Krav Maga, really. Right? In Hebrew, it just literally means contact combat. And over time, it's become understood to refer to the system that originated with Imi Lichtenfeld, the first instructor of the Israeli Defense Forces. But in Israel, the words literally mean contact combat, which are as diverse as basically, as broad as fighting, right? So there's no special meaning to the words Krav Maga. If it's fighting, it can be Krav Maga. So it's not a question of whether it's Krav Maga, it's a question of whether it's good Krav Maga. Let's have a look and see what we think. Yeah, so if it is Krav Maga, it's pretty bad Krav Maga. Yeah, that's bullshit. I'm afraid. It's not anything I would be calling Krav Maga, right? That is LARPing. LARPing, LARPing, right? Live action role playing. Yeah. Why is it LARPing, right? So the guy comes in. Let's watch it in slow motion. Guy comes in, takes the guy down with a knife. The technique is reasonable, but steering someone over is not quite as easy as he makes that look sometimes. Yeah. Once you get the person down there, the guy's on the floor, and the guy on the floor just allows his arm to be folded in half instead of retracting his arm back ferociously and stabbing this guy in the ballsack. Right. And yes, the window of that is a second and a half at most, maybe even slightly less than a second. But the determined attacker with a death grip on the knife, frantically fighting for his life now that he's losing and he's on the ground, is going to be retracting that knife. He's not going to let you fold his arm over that easily, even when it's a guy this big and solid doing it. And it's this guy on the floor is much smaller. He's just not going to allow that knife to be folded in quite that way with that little resistance. Takes 3 shots. The shots are pulled. We have no idea whether they'd stop him, but he just lies on the floor to pretend that he has been. Okay, that's fair enough. Let's assume that the shots were sufficient. But then the second guy comes along and puts a gun in his face, and it's like, why would he do that? It's like, why would you do that? Right? Clearly, if the first guy's come along and tried to stab him, these 2 guys are here to kill the first guy, the defender, coming into the building. It doesn't make any sense for the guy to have even tried to stab him if the other guy could have just shot him. Right? Why would you try and stab someone when the other guy's got a gun and could just shoot him? Right? But you've just seen your buddy taken out by some, John Wick expert fighter guy. And instead of shooting that guy, which is what you were obviously going to do anyway, because if your buddy was going to stab him, you were going to shoot him. Instead of now shooting him anyway, you wander up to him into arm's reach with the pistol in one hand, right? And then to make that even worse, as he puts the hand on the guy's chest and the guy begins his disarm. And remember, this is an attacker who's just seen his mate taken out, his mate with a knife taken out by some ninja dude, right? He is not that chilled dude with the kind of holding you hostage with a pistol, kind of getting a bit sloppy. Yeah, you move over there, you go, let's whatever. And knows that he thinks you got you under complete control. And then you take the gun off him and disarm him. He's not that guy, right? He's just seen his friend taken out. So he's in full fight mode. His reflexes are sharp. You try your disarm, he's going to blow your head off at this stage. So as the guy's trying to disarm him, now he's inexplicably at arm's range. As the guy's disarming, he doesn't shoot him. He lets the disarm happen. There would be he doesn't take him out with a single bullet to the face as he's trying to flip this gun off him, John Wick style. This is just completely unrealistic, and this is an example of what's being a bad attacker. So, one of the first things I want to say about what makes good Krav Maga is that the attacker should be attacking properly. The attacker should attack realistically and with a live energy. So when I say make contact with your partner, make light contact with your partner, hit them in the forehead, hit them lightly in the body, stab them lightly in the body. I mean, do that, right? And we will wear safety equipment to make it possible. But it is so important that the attacker attacks with realistic body mechanics, realistic ranges, and if possible, realistic speed. as well. And obviously we need safety equipment to do that to a degree. Yeah. But the attacker, above all, is there to show us our strengths, but also ultimately where our weaknesses lie. And here's some training of me from 2017 where I want to show, I want to share, where I think that that's actually taking place. So this is me and my old friend Mac. We're in a basement of a place where I used to work. I noticed this particular little sort of cubby spot, and I just realized it would be absolutely perfect for a spot of sparring. So I think we've warmed up here. And the idea is we're going at quite a high pace. So to start off with almost like a assault pace. And we're wearing a lot of gear and we are taking care of each other. So we are pulling power. And in some ways, what I'm deliberately doing is allowing myself to be pushed into corners because I want to feel that sensation of being powered into corners. And here I'm trying to use this cubby space because it was just like the perfect space for restricted striking and practicing working in a confined area. And the thing is, a lot of self-defense situations do actually happen in confined areas. So you want to work in spaces like this if at all possible. Ugh. Yes, and this is what I wanted him to do. I wanted him to shove me into these walls and rag me off these walls. Ideally, they'd be padded, so he'd actually do that with some power. Yeah, so one of the things this clip really revealed to me is I needed to do a lot more in terms of clinching and wrestling. So I needed to be a lot more active in terms of these positions. And I don't think I really understood particularly what to do from this one very well, from side on. And so what's going to happen is there's a padded knife and it's either going to get drawn or it's going to get picked up from the floor, simulating, finding something like a bottle or something and then having to deal with that improvised weapon. Yeah, so there's me trying to defend and declaring myself dead because he just dumps me on the floor and butchers me. I don't like that. I don't like declaring yourself dead for various reasons. It's not good training. Ideally, you'd have a third person. I'd have Mick Coop standing on the side telling me that we could break and that we needed to reset, but we didn't have him around. So the knife comes out sometimes, and you've got to deal with it as he draws it, deal with it as he brings it into play. And it was really difficult to see. That was one of my first impressions. Once we got into this clinch and he had me up against the wall, it was really difficult to deal with this. I just get butchered up against the wall. There's no space to move, and it was really, really hard to control him. Yeah, just dead. Dead without any ability to resist. It's a complete failure. And we are gassed. Yes, no. Yes. So making that sounds weird. But what I'm trying to do is simulate biting. I can't actually bite him, obviously, and I don't know what the results of biting him would be, but that was actually a successful rep because I got stabbed twice and then I managed to control the weapon. So now we've got to reset. I think he's dropped the weapon, and the idea is he's going to try and pick it up off the floor and now start filling me in with it. This is bad. Yeah. Probably fatally stabbed there before I start to get control of this hand. Now I'm holding the blade itself, which is catastrophic, so I wouldn't be able to do that in reality. Listen to how gassed we are. And the thing is, unless you've done pressure testing like this before, you don't realise how exhausting it is because it's so stressful not knowing what the other person's going to do. And just psychologically, even knowing that like each one of those strikes is you dying, and you're not actually dying. Yeah, just can't get hold of him. Just can't stop him from picking the weapon up off the floor. Can't control the weapon. Finally have control of the weapon, but then just blattered into a wall, hand switch, and then just absolutely butchered. And we don't know whether those shots would have stopped him if I hadn't pulled them in reality and he'd been wearing a head guard, but it's bad. It's bad, right? Probably dead again. So I'm learning so much from this. Nice kick as he comes in. Really, really crisp, perfect kick. And then oblique kick. I pulled that so nicely, just touched him, and then stabbed in the face. That's what it's like. That's a reality of it. Control him, try and come in, try and deal with that limb, and then no, just get absolutely grabbed and stabbed again. What's that? Underhook? That's a disaster. Wrist fighting a guy who's got a knife in his hand. Yeah, this is not a good position. And then I can't get my arm, my right arm back into the picture. Nice jump hook. I don't know if he's dropped the knife. Yeah, I'm so tired I can barely stand now. Nice kick on the way in, but stabbed at the same time. It's bad. Bad. Block. That was spot on. Total acid bar from both of us, so we can both barely stand at this stage. This hurt like hell. But that was a superb rep. I'm actually going to give myself full marks for that rep, right? I felt the energy, controlled him coming in, turned him around and felt the chance to run away. That was spot on. Block. No, stabbed in the neck instead. So he just didn't go to where I wanted. Knees, control the limb, but probably fatally stabbed, right? He can't even, Matt can't even go anymore. He's smashed. I can't remember why I made the round this long. I don't know why. I don't know if I'd do that again. Ugh.
Yeah.
Back slammed into that padlock on the wall.
You switch hands, or you
Yeah, and he just switches hands again. We were talking about whether a real attacker would have the wherewithal to do that. I would grab him by the and fish hook him in reality there, but I just no gas, and then obviously he's wearing a head guard. And I'm still pulling power here. So this looks quite vicious, but we're both pulling power here. And the form's really deteriorating now. Can't find range, can't judge range, can't move explosively, can't move my head. Total acid bath. I think we're probably like 6 minutes into this now, which is way too long to be at this heart rate. We're probably near maximum heart rate for the whole of the round. So yeah, that was super intense. Super intense. Now, if anyone watched that clip and thought that some parts were atrocious in terms of my performance, I agree, right? If you want to criticize what I did, please do it constructively. So explain what I could do better in terms of both drill design and my performance. But before you do that, please in the comments below, post a link to a video of you doing live simulation training, you doing live sparring, you in a fight, like maybe a sanctioned combat sports fight, where you're in a situation where you could train until you actually failed, where you broke, where you didn't succeed, right? And then, yeah, please put comments below. Okay. So the first hallmark of what makes good Krav Maga, and probably good self-defense training in general, is that the attack should be good. The attacker should be good. The attack should be realistic. So attackers should be focusing on safety and longevity of the defender, of me, as much as possible. But after that's been achieved, well, the attacker should be pushing us. The attacker should be doing their utmost to be alive and realistic and doing what the actual attacker would do to us, right? In a realistic way. And the key word there, I guess, is aliveness. And the thing about aliveness, when you've been doing this for 17 years, as I have been now, is that it comes and goes. You know, it ebbs and flows. And it kind of comes up in the class itself, when you're doing the class, and we go from drilling something in a fairly static way to integrating it and making it more alive, and then ultimately just freestyling it so that it becomes completely like a real simulation, if possible. That's the place we aim to reach. But the thing is that aliveness swells and then it recedes, and it's kind of like a magical thing. And then it's with each class it comes and goes, and then with each student it comes and goes, and then with each teacher it comes and goes. But sometimes when you've been doing it for as long as I have, what happens is it comes and goes with the training partner itself. And the 18th of January is interesting for me because the training partner you just saw in that video of me and Mac, his name was Mac. It's interesting because it was the last time the two of us trained together. Mac passed away from COVID-19 in 2021. So I went to see him. This is in the autumn of that year, I think. And really just to have a word and reminisce of old times, really, and to thank him for the aliveness. You know, thank him for actually being a good attacker, because what he did for me was to show me where I needed to grow. Hopefully you could see where I needed to grow in that video as well. You saw flaws, you saw mistakes, you saw learnings, you saw realistically how realistic certain things were, you know, what were my chances of pulling them off in reality. And he showed those things to me, and he showed those things to me on a weekly basis in the way that only the best training partners can. And in so many ways, he was maybe the closest thing that I, at that time, had to a brother in my life. So losing him was quite a body blow, to say the least. But it made me grateful. He taught me to be grateful, and grateful for every wonderful person that I come across, and every great training partner that I can come across, and every person that brings their aliveness to what we do, and every person who brings that aliveness that I get to encounter over time. So, yeah, I make this video to remember him, because I've been thinking about him a lot today. As now's the 4th anniversary of his passing. I continue doing this, and I did this because of him, and I continue doing this in many ways because of him. He doesn't get to continue. He didn't get to live his life. We were both the same age. He didn't get to live his life anymore, but I do. So I choose to keep training to honor him. I choose to keep teaching to honor him. I choose to keep giving the power that he gave me, the power that he instilled in me through our training together, and keep sharing that with all of my students, in part for him as well. So, yeah, I just wanted to make this video to say aliveness is the first hallmark of what makes a great training partner, and a great training partner who gives us realistic attacks is the first hallmark of what makes great Krav Maga. Peace.